Hi everyone, it's Warren. Before we get into the review, I just want to drop this note. I'm recording this after having recorded the bulk of the Collision review. When I say the bulk, I mean all of it. And the audio isn't great. The audio quality, is great. The content is great. The audio content's fantastic. It's my review, a good review of a good show, I find. But unfortunately, the audio isn't quite up to par. And I apologize in advance because it kind of makes it a little jarring to listen to. And I'm sorry if it makes the experience a little more difficult for you this week. I'm aware of it. It's my fault. I tried to clean it up. I did my best, but it's still not great. We'll be back to form on the very next recording. Trust me. But yeah, apologies again. Very, very sorry. Thank you for being here nonetheless. Let's get to the review. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another AEW Collision review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or on your favorite podcast application. This is what we do on Sundays, and it is Sunday. It is October 22nd. We are going to be talking about the Dynamite from last night, October 21st. I gotta tell you, straight off the bat, I really liked last night's Collision. And I think do I need to underscore this a little more? I don't want to come across as condescending because I really love you guys, my audience, my A+ audience. Because last week, I basically, my review last week, as you know, if you watched it, listened to it last week, was very short, condensed, but again, like I said in the preface as I was leading into it, saying this was a nothing show. I felt it was skippable. So, you know, no point in going like 60 minutes on this one. Nothing happened on this show. So we're just going to breeze through it. Just going to get through it, you know, review what we need to review and hit the bricks because it was just nothing. And a lot of people took that as I didn't like the show. Despite the fact that throughout the show, the review, I was saying, oh, I like this. This was fun. But they're observably speaking, outside of the main event, which was tremendous, you know, everything was fine, but nothing happened. There was nothing. And I promise you, if you go back and you listen to the audio, I would be shocked if I said at any time during that review, I didn't like this, this was bad, or even that I said, maybe I said this about a few things, but I didn't say the show was bad. I said it was skippable because nothing happened. And I still stand by that. I never, ever, ever said this was a bad show. Because I had, you know, very judicious comments being posted on the video on YouTube. I'll just flat out stating, Warren, I like the show. That's fine. I didn't say that the show was bad. I didn't hate the show either. I just said skippable. We can move along. But you see, and I'm bringing that up because I want to contrast this with today's review of the October 21st Dynamite as the complete opposite. As a show where shit is happening, you're having good to great matches throughout, maybe outside one. But then again, anyway, we'll say as we go along. Like there's stuff happening, angles are being developed, created. We've got things like this was an eventful Collision. This was something where I'm like, you should not skip this one because there's too much stuff happening. Plus, on top of that, you're going to be entertained by an easy breezy 2 hours of pro wrestling. Does that make sense? And again, I don't want anyone to feel bad for leaving those comments. I just found it strange. Where I was like, I never said the show was bad. I'll tell you when I think a show was bad. I'll tell you, this was bad. This sucks. This stinks. I have a variety of adjectives I can use to express my disdain, my dislike of something. You know, I'm literate. I went to school. I have a degree. I've read James Joyce, Ulysses, my literary nemesis. I know Ulysses by James Joyce is supposed to be, is considered, widely considered, a seminal work of literary art. And I understand it. And I understand the form, the function of it. And I understand what he was trying to do, you know, with the run-on sentences, the entire chapters without punctuation. I know what he was trying to do. I cannot conquer that novel. I just cannot do it. It is, I've tried in the context of school. I've tried it in the context of me personally trying to do it, but I just can't. My literary nemesis is James Joyce. What a tangent already. Let's get to the show. Let's get to the review. Thank you for being here. Hey, likes and subscriptions on YouTube and ratings and reviews over on the podcast side of things. Those things are pretty cool. October 21st, from Memphis, Tennessee, the FedEx Forum, just shy of 3,000 people in attendance. The woes go on. The woes continue. And this was a triple decker of a show, right? Because then they also had the Battle of the Belts. FYI, we're not talking about Battle of the Belts here. We're trying to stay focused and streamlined here on the reviews. But I will most likely be reviewing Battle of the Belts this Tuesday on the Mr. MrWarrenHayes show proper when we record it, then available the next day on demand and on podcast. By the way, I apologize if you hear in the background the squeals of children. It is just, the kids that I've kidnapped. And no, I'm kidding. My son has friends over, and there's only so much I can do. There's only so much soundproofing a man can do before the squeals of teenagers invade him. Trust me, I've tried. So we start off right out the bat with Bryan Danielson defeating Andrade el Idolo. Why did I say it like that? Andrade el Idolo. Idolo. Andrade el Idolo. Sounds like I'm yodeling. It's not that was not my intent. This was our dream match that Tony Khan had announced on social media. And I absolutely 100% with great gusto and confidence would not call this a dream match. Maybe it is a dream match for Andrade to, be booked on TV against big opponents and, just have something to do. Maybe that. Stop complaining. I'm kidding, of course. Or am I? But no, like this one, look, maybe I got myself a little wrapped up, right? I myself got particularly excited. I am not invulnerable to getting my hopes up. Dare I say getting worked. When promoters start promoting and do promoter stuff, like saying we got a dream match coming on Collision. And then you have, in the context of CMLL this week announcing that they were setting up this relationship with AEW, and that, they even put out a statement saying how much they appreciated the welcome that AEW put out for Místico and the CMLL staff that came. And then watching Místico versus Rocky Romero on Friday on Rampage, all this context. Maybe, and then Bryan Danielson, let's be honest, Bryan Danielson, when he quote tweeted the Místico Rocky Romero announcement, and he said, you know what that means? I got myself onto the Blue Panther hype. I was like, oh, is Danielson finally going to get his literal, I believe that is his literal dream match. I believe this is I believe this is a match that he absolutely wants to do. For him, this would be an apex moment to wrestle one of the all-time great luchadors in Blue Panther, a guy that has influenced Danielson in his career, that he's cited in numerous occasions that he has an influence on how he wrestles. So maybe I let myself get carried into the wave. And I was like, oh shit, is Blue Panther gonna show up? You know, he was working Arena Mexico on Friday, but you know, then you take a bus, you take the Greyhound out of Mexico all up to Memphis. No, but it was possible. You know, we were all knocking our heads together, going, but no, that's not exactly what happened. So it's a shame, really. But look, here's the thing, is that we ended up with a great match. It's just like, it's not the dream match. You know, on the dream match thing, I'm trying to think, wasn't there another occasion where Tony Khan had used, oh, this is a dream match, and everyone's like, Tony, really? But he's been fairly, he hasn't been liberal in his use of dream match. And he generally doesn't have the, he typically doesn't go too hard on it, you know? But I think here he pressed on the gas a little much. He went on it a little hard. No, yes, maybe. Anyway, this was great. Anyway, the match was great. Started off with some groundwork, some back and forth between the two, which was really fun. But then Danielson lands a strike, and then that fires everyone up. You know, at first they're doing the ground game. They're shaking hands. You know, it's like, all right, this is dope. The audience is into it. I'm into it. And then Danielson's like, no, all right, slap. And then this goes to another level. Busaiku knee off the apron by Danielson, who also drives Andrade into the post and starts working his shoulder for the remainder of the match. Of course, you know, softening it up for the label lock. Andrade fights back with a flying forearm. Springboard drop kicks Danielson off the top rope to the floor. He lands a golden triangle as well, the split-legged moonsault. Shotgun missile dropkick by Danielson. Andrade then goes for the moonsault into the standing moonsault, but Danielson lifts the knees on the standing moonsault part. Locks in the label lock, which Andrade fights out of, and gets Danielson then into a figure four. There's some back and forth that happens afterwards. Very exciting stuff that leads into a series of near falls, but Danielson gets the win with the crucifix. I thought this was great. I thought this was a legitimate great match. Fantastic. Blessed to see this on television. This is what AEW is about. Just giving me cool matches week in, week out. This was great. I loved it. And then after the match, lights go out. They come back on. Malachi Black is right there standing in the middle of the ring. And he just black masses Danielson right on the button. Plump! And then the clam digger, as Nigel would say, just collapses into a heap of brittle bones. Oh, that was great. Look, I have, this is very personal. I have a very peculiar relationship. How about that? With a very peculiar relationship with Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy End, whatever you want to call it. You know, NXT is legitimately where I discovered Tommy End. Not gonna lie, not gonna pretend that I was, you know, locked into his career beforehand. But I got to the point where I was watching, where I was watching everything he did, and I thought he was phenomenal, just a phenomenal pro wrestler, a big fan. Gets called up to the main roster. He has a very good run, despite the fact that they never did anything with him. You'll remember the Malachi Black. You'll remember the Aleister Black, I should say, undefeated streak up in WWE, which they never really turned into a storyline, but he was just week after week coming in, destroying fools, and then goes to AEW and has this tremendous initial push with Cody, and then things just sort of taper off. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I'm not quite sure if he's into pro wrestling anymore. I'm like, what is he doing? And he's sort of, take some time off, and that's fine. Like, you know, I don't want to chastise anyone who has to take time for their mental health. You know, absolutely, everyone has to decompress and get things realigned sometimes. I can only imagine how fucking stressful and intense working in pro wrestling as a talent is. So I understand all of this, and I'm not bitter about him. But then, you know, I feel like ever since like the House of Black really became like a trios, I feel like he's been disinterested, like he doesn't want to be there. I feel like in House of Black matches, he's always been the guy putting in the minimal amount of effort. You know, it's either Brody or Buddy. Either way. But him, he's always like very, and I'm like, do you even want to be here? Is this, you know, because if you don't want to be here and you don't want to wrestle, that's fine. Go back to a place where you'll be comfortable, you know, and it's not even a question of bitterness. It's just like, I want to see Malachi Black and any pro wrestler give everything they have when the opportunities that are presented to them. I don't want to see them go out and skulk. That's not fun. It's fun for no one. It's not fun for them. And ultimately it rubs into the audience. And I'm like, I don't want to see that either. It turned, you know, so he gave me a really weird vibe. So I'm hoping that this program they're developing, right? Because this entire show is about the House of Black, right? The House of Black is getting the good old pushy push here. I would assume moving forward that Malachi and crew are going to be in the center of something, and our boy Tom End is going to get motivated again. He's going to get that spark back, and he's going to get back into the ring and kick some ass. This is what I'm hoping for, you know. And if it doesn't work out, and I beg Alistair, Tom, Malachi to go back to wherever he wants and refine the joy of being a pro wrestler. That this is essentially what I'm hoping. But like, to me, this, like, I feel like this is the test, right? This is the litmus test. Do you still have it? I mean, and when I say have it, I mean the passion. Do you still have the thrill? Can you convey a tremendous match for me? And if he's going into a feud with Danielson, or for that fact, anyone in the BCC, and I'm talking a singles feud, that's absolutely your litmus test right there. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have for our boy here for Black. Especially if, you know, Danielson is next up. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go. Let's do this. We get a video of Darby Allin talking about Nick Wayne, and, you know, with Nick Wayne being mad that fans were angry at him, and basically Darby Allin saying, get the fuck off Twitter, which is an endorsement, you know, that I also echo. Get off Twitter. He'll be on Dynamite, he being Darby on Wednesday. So if Nick Wayne has something to say, he can say there. So we're probably setting up a segment there. Skye Blue in her Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine gear comes out to squash HollyHood Haley J, who can hit the bricks if you ask me. But as far as Skye Blue goes, here's something. Look, as far as she goes, like, I know they're doing the, you know, the mist and the attitude stuff, but coming out with Scooby-Doo gear, like, there's a little, it's a little bit of a dichotomy, right? It's a little off, you know, where you'd think she'd be all Hot Topic gothy, right? Look, she probably had the gear made for Halloween, and just like, look, I gotta get my money's worth out of this, and I like the gear. I know a lot of people are like, what the fuck? I think it's fine. She even has the little, you know, the Scooby-Doo medal, you know, and what it doesn't bother me, but it's just a little off. It's a little off. When she's like supposed to be brooding, you know, and all angsty. And it's a little, like, it's a little off when she's like supposed to be brooding, you know, and all angsty. And it's a little off when she's like supposed to be brooding, you know, and all angsty. You know, and all angsty. And it's a little off when she's like supposed to be brooding, you know, and all angsty. When I think of brooding and angsty, I do not think of Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and Fred and Velma and Daphne and Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Dum and who else was Vincent Price. You remember when Vincent Price was on? He was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. You remember that? Vincent Price was on the show, doing Vincent Price basically. No, my old. Scooby-Doo is formative for me. It is part of my youth. I consumed so much Scooby-Doo. I thought it was great. And I saw tons of the iterations. You know, of course, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Then they had the Scooby-Doo Hour, whatever they called it. Where they'd have guests. They'd have guest cartoon in cartoon shape. Like Batman and Robin. But then they'd also have like Mama Cass, from what was the name of the band? California Dreamin'. Like she was on that. And not like a parody. Like like her voice. They had the Monkeys, I believe, too. All of these late 60s, 70s outfits, and they had the Harlem Globetrotters on there too at some point. Scooby-Doo and the Harlem Globetrotters solving mysteries. I should try to. No one has those on any streaming platform, and probably because of all the IPs, all the IP crossovers that happen. Because I would love to go back and see that and watch it as an adult and see how fucking campy it was. It's wild when you think about it. Anyway, did I say Sky Blue basically just made short work of HollyHood Haley J, who can hit the bricks? Yeah, I did. Okay. The Guns defeated the Outrunners, Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd. Nigel gets it when it comes to the Outrunners, right? Talking about how Turbo Floyd won the Jesse the Body Award in 1984. Like he gets it. He knows what the shtick here is. This was essentially a bit of a squash match as well by the Guns, who win with the 7-10, 8-3-10, 8-10, 10-10, 10-10, 3-2-1 to Yuma. After the match, the lights go out and the Devil appears on screen. So we're doing all these lights out gimmicks for the House of Black, but we're also doing one for the Devil. If I'm running production here, I'm like, you know what? The only time we're not going to do a lights out thing is for this, because it was like the signature for all of the House of Black stuff happening during the show. But nonetheless, the Devil shows up on screen. There's MJF chants, and the Bullet Club, they stare around, and Jay White is directing traffic and says, look behind you. We're not going to fall for that, is what I think you actually hear him say that. So clearly, in this whodunit, who attacked the Bullet Club, Gold, clearly everyone is buying that it's MJF. Where it quite obviously is not, because they're ham-fisting this. So, like, if it is MJF, I'm like, maybe it's Vince McMahon. Anyway, non-title match for the non-title match. It can't be for the something if it's non-title, but it's look, the ROH World Champion in a non-title match. Eddie Kingston was defeated by Jeff Jarrett in a Memphis street fight. Wild and wacky match as Kingston fought off the entirety of Jarrett's crew here. And this match starts, I'm like, uh-oh, Eddie's got a white jersey on. Uh-oh. And he does blade in the match. And there's concession stuff everywhere, right? Because that's what everyone sort of went to. Because, we're doing the throwback to Memphis and the concession stand fights. And, David Brown is there as well for commentary. So, I'm like, they're going to go into the concession. But no, they brought the concessions to ringside, which is not as fun. It's a little more contrived. I don't know, not as fun. Made me a little sad. But this was still pretty fun. Jay Lethal cutters Eddie Kingston off the stage through a table, and this obviously the spot of the match. Just tremendous stuff. I see a barbed wire bat be pulled down, and I think it was in rubber. Again, as I said, as I've talked about multiple times, don't do that. Don't do that. This is something that I absolutely expect NXT to do, but AEW, come on. Just don't do the spot. Don't pull out a phony barbed wire match, barbed wire bat. Just, it looked like it was in rubber, and it didn't seem, you know, Jeff Jarrett uses it on Eddie's back, and it doesn't seem to tug at the jersey, you know, as barbed wire would be wont to do. So that kind of sucks. Just don't do it. You know, it's like, oh, Warren, but you want wrestlers to get hurt? No, here's the thing. If you're going to pull out a barbed wire match, a barbed wire bat, excuse me, pull out a barbed wire bat. Don't do the rubber thing, because then you're just insulting my intelligence. Then I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, okay, this is dumb. You know, it's baby's first hardcore match, and especially with Eddie Kingston. No, like, don't do it. You have the choice then to not do the spot. You have the choice to not pull out that as a weapon. Just don't do it. Kingston machine gun chops and back fists Jeff Jarrett just as he's about to El Kabong him. And it's Satnam Singh who gets El Kabonged by Kingston using the guitar straight on his head. Jeff Jarrett lands the stroke, but Kingston kicks out. Why? Because Jarrett celebrated, as he usually does after doing the stroke. He has this moment where he goes, yes, I'm going to win. He does it every fucking time, and every fucking time he takes too much time to celebrate, and the guy kicks out. So the match continues, but everyone gangs up on Kingston. He gets chokeslammed by Satnam Singh. He eats another stroke by Jarrett, and the lethal injection by Jay Lethal. And Jeff Jarrett then gets the pin off of all of those things, destroying Eddie Kingston. So, of course, this was the expected result, because they're setting up Jay Lethal for Eddie Kingston's next big challenger, probably at the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view for the Ring of Honor world title, of course. I think all of this is masterfully done. Don't get me wrong. I think all of this is you know, it started off with a promo, right? Last week with Jay Lethal just spitting fire at Kingston. Kingston doing his reply. Then they have, you know, saying, look, if Jeff Jarrett can beat me, I'm going to give you your title match. And there you go. And throughout this match with the big spots, the big spot, and Lethal landing the lethal injection as the last finisher of the three that were sequenced here at the very end. Wasn't the stroke that ended the match, was the lethal injection. Lethal is positioned as a strong challenger. I like this, and it makes a lot of sense. And then later on, why don't we skip ahead a little bit? Then this is all, you know, compounded even further with Eddie Kingston delivering a tremendous A+ promo. He's being tended by medical staff backstage, and you know, he said, Lethal, I made you jump through hoops because for this title shot, because, you know, he knows that this isn't the Jay Lethal he used to know. The Jay Lethal he used to know really loved this business, but then he started, you know, associating with that carny son of a bitch, talking about Jeff Jarrett. He used to hang with Lethal, but he's not a man anymore. He's Jeff Jarrett's little bitch. And he doesn't want to bring his family into this, you know, but I know your mother, and your mother comes to these matches. She comes to your matches, and I don't want you to bring your mother to this match, Jamal. He's using a shoot name here. Don't bring your mother to this match, Jamal, because I'm going to have to beat you within an inch of your life in front of your beautiful mother. Like, perfect, awesome, intense, hard-on sleeve Eddie Kingston. Another tremendous promo. I am into this match. Leave it to Eddie Kingston to get me into a Jay Lethal match in 2023. Well done. Like, this is well done. I don't need, look, I don't, do we get into this? But look, this is a very simple story, and it's connecting, and it's working, and it makes sense. Some good hype. I'm looking forward to this match now. Anyway, let's back up, go back into chronological order here. The Acclaimed are interviewed by Lexi Nair. Lexi Nair, by the way, we have to point out how she has improved as a backstage interviewer persona, right? She's grown into her character. She's developed the confidence. You know, she's not as stiff as she once was. She's a lot, she feels a lot more in control. I thought she showed a lot of personality here tonight. It just jumped at me, and I'm like, because I remember when she started, and we were sort of like, oh, she's fine, you know, she's a mic stand, but now she's developing something. There's a little more personality to what she's doing. Anyway, Max Caster, look, she's with the Acclaim. They do the Max Caster is awkward around women thing. I don't know. And they talk about their upcoming match with the Jericho Appreciation Society cast-offs. Okay, like, it's fine. Like, not for me. Then we get Miro defeating Action Andretti. So, of course, the story here is that, I wanted to call her Lana, CJ Perry is managing Action Andretti, but she comes out herself with her own entrance. She doesn't come out with her charge. With, you know, she walks out all by her lonesome. And for the entirety of the match, she seems to be more into what Miro is doing than Action Andretti. Whenever Action Andretti gets the upper hand on stuff, camera cuts to her and she doesn't look thrilled. I'm like, well, interesting relationship you have here. But this was a good TV match, I found. Miro just wallops Action Andretti out of the air with a sledge, right? He's flying off the ropes and he blomp. Just a tremendous sledge. And then, look, Miro just pummels Andretti, laying him out with big right hands. He's essentially playing with his food for the duration of this match. Andretti, of course, gets a comeback spot with flying moves that ends with the tope con hilo, gets the crowd really hot. And Andretti rolls out of a game over finisher move, right, into a pin attempt that gets close to big reactions from the crowd, right? Because we've seen Andretti pull off the upset that one time, and that still sticks. It's still with them. Like, oh shit, like, it is believable that this job guy might get the upper hand on an established name. So that was a close near fall that a lot of people bit on. Got the spinning DDT and a 450, but Miro kicks Andretti and locks him into the game over proper for the win. I thought this was a fun little TV match. More than a squash, less than a competitive back and forth, but good to establish Miro as a force that he wants to go through CJ's charges. But CJ again was up applauding Miro. Do you think her end game here is that she's trying to awaken a spark within Miro by associating herself with other people, and Miro having him come around eventually to, we need to be a duo again. You bring the best out of me, kind of thing? Do you think that might be? Welcome to the scat portion of the show. The JAS cast-offs are there with Lexi Nair again. They reiterate that they're all on the same page, right? They squash their beef, with Jake Hager. I think it was on Rampage, right? They did all this. They shook hands, but Daddy Magic, Matt Menard gets the mic and basically, he says, "Yo, we all had breakfast this morning and there wasn't any dancing," which was a shot at Dan Garcia. Garcia sort of went, I thought we were good now. And Anna Jay's like, motherfuckers. You know, it's all right. Anna Jay needs to get back to, you know, she needs to do what she used to do to the Dark Order to keep them all in line. Be the den mother and tell all these clowns to calm the fuck down, right? And that transitions into Ruby Soho arriving because they had more time since the interview was cut short. Lexi had, well, I have more time. Here's Ruby Soho, who basically says that, you know, everyone says that they deserve a championship. I deserve a championship. There we go. Then we had the Eddie Kingston promo. We already talked about that. Then we had Bad Thad Brown. Bad Thad Brown and Darian Bengston versus FTR. This went to a no contest as the lights went out during early on in the match, and the House of Black attacked. Brody and Buddy took out Cash and Dax. Who knows what happened to Darian Bengston and Bad Thad Brown? Who knows? Maybe one day we will find out. And this led us to the main event, where Big Bill and Ricky Starks successfully retained the AEW World Tag Team title against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club. This was good, a strong, solid main event. Nothing that'll blow your mind, but a strong, solid 20-odd minutes of pro wrestling. I have no complaints. This was good. Yuta out wrestles Starks at first, but then, of course, Big Bill tags in and the champs get a big heat segment here, with Yuta being the Ricky Mortonest of all the Ricky Mortons. And they actually do, they being the heels, they do a good job keeping Castagnoli from tagging in as well, you know, playing against some of the tropes as well that we've seen, you know, when, you know, a guy from another team runs around to trip the guy trying to get the tag, trips him off the apron, you know, and that's sort of become a tired trope. Well, Claudio said, oh, I saw you coming, but he still ate shit because the champs are champs. I liked it. But Claudio finally does get the hot tag where he pummels Ricky Starks and does the rope walk dance thing. Starks avoids the big swing, though. Superplex by Claudio. Wheeler Yuta gets back in. He eats some big moves. Claudio with a pumping bomber, big swing, drop kick combo by the BCC as well, which follows by a cover, and it's Big Bill that breaks up the pin. The House of Black then interfere. They just show up, run some interference, distract the ref, which allows them to take out Claudio Castagnoli. And in the meantime, and then after that, I should say, a spear on Wheeler Yuta by Ricky Starks, followed by the Rochambeau, gets the win. After the match, the heels all band together to continue the beatdown. Bryan Danielson runs in for the save. He gets overwhelmed. FTR runs in for the save. They get overwhelmed. John Moxley comes in. I wrote in my notes, runs in, but no. Mox does not run. Mox walks with purpose. He's effectively, you know, a Michael Myers type, where he's just, once I reach the ring, you guys are dead. And that's essentially what happened. He cleared house. Great schmoz at the end. Babyface is on top. They start taking turns on Ricky Starks eating shit. What more do you want here? Fantastic finish. This is the kind of finish I love. And sets up a whole, so this show, through the House of Black, has set up a bunch of stuff, bunch of angles, a bunch of possibilities in which we will legitimately, or at least at the very least, seeds for the future, right? Because I know what happened in, you know, at the start of Battle of the Belts, you know, Mox and Orange Cassidy sort of bumped into each other and they went at it, right? So clearly we're going to set that up probably for a rematch at Full Gear. At least that's what I'd do. So, you know, maybe we're not going to get Mox involved in the House of Black stuff immediately, but the seeds are there. Danielson and Malachi, I'm all for that. Buddy and Buddy Murphy and Buddy Matthews and Brody King, NFTR, let's fucking go. Like, that's fresh. That's fresh. All of this is fresh. So I'm like, okay, I cannot but not be excited about this. This is all good stuff. And I'm excited to see in which directions this all goes. This is starting to feel like AEW again. We're not like, spending our time pulling vignettes and doing like, drawn out, boring, unfunny skits. We're focusing on wrestling angles, focusing on the cool wrestlers we have. What are the cool matches we want? All I want out of AEW is cool matches. And I know Tony Khan can put cool matches together because we got one on Friday. We're getting another one on Wednesday. They're flying Kazuchika Okada in to team with Orange Cassidy against Claudio and Mox. I'm like, okay, there you go. I think AEW's back, baby. It's the formula that worked. More of this, more Kenny Omega, more of the Elite. I think that's a formula for success. I think that's something that works. I'm excited. This was good. This was a good episode of Collision. I really liked it. Okay? Are we clear? No, but look, like I said, lots of stuff happening on this show. A great opener. Good matches afterwards. What more do you want? And stuff happening throughout the show. Like, just stuff happening throughout the show. It's good stuff. So, there you have it. That's my review. Hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like on YouTube. Even if you didn't, leave a like on YouTube, please. And if you and subscribe if you'd like more of this. I will of course be back on Tuesday evening here on YouTube to record the Mr. Warren Hayes Show live. Otherwise, it will be available on demand and everywhere else on your podcast application, so on and so forth, on Wednesday. So why don't you also leave a 5-star review or a 5-star rating on Apple, on Spotify? That would be fantastic. So hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday, of your weekend, or whenever you've decided to listen to this. And I'll see you next time.